Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Anarchy Arena Podcast, episode 19. We are recording this episode while we are still in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we thought we'd bring you something completely different to take your mind off of it. If you're listening to the show after we've all, hopefully, survived, then consider this episode your reward. Today on the show, we have a very interesting guest who goes by the name of Yogi Devadas. Yogi, as you can probably guess from the name, is a practicing Hindu, and he shares with us what that means in general, what it means to him, and how he came to where he is in his faith. This was a super interesting conversation and definitely one that you do not want to miss. So, with that, let's hit the music and get into episode 19 of the Anarchy Arena Podcast featuring Yogi Devadas.
All right, welcome back to the Anarchy Arena Podcast. Tonight we have a very special guest, one of my dearest friends on the internet. We have another member of the Slut Pit, Count Jacula's stream. Make sure you go check it out on Twitch.
I thought it was your personal Slut Pit.
Not my personal Slut Pit. It's kind of like a rented Slut Pit, let's be real here.
You just rent out a room in Jack's Slut Pit? Is that how this works?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyways, tonight's very special guest is Yogi Devadas. If you've ever been part of Jack's stream, I guarantee you've seen this guy. Yogi, namaste.
Namaste, John. So good to hear you. So good to talk to you. And thank you for bringing me on. I'm both honored and confused as to why exactly I'm here, but we'll make the most of it.
And that is the appropriate reaction we want from one of our guests on this show. Yes. Honored and confused.
Yogi is you are a practicing Hindu.
Correct. More specifically, I'm a Vaishnavic Hindu, which is a sub-tradition within Hinduism where we focus specifically on God in the form of Lord Vishnu and his various incarnations.
Which me and Chris's white ass have no fucking clue about, which is kind of the reason why we wanted to bring you on. Talk a little bit about what Hinduism is, because I made this joke on one of Jack's stream, which was people often when they hear Hindu, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's like Buddhist, right?" And it's like,
no. Wait. People actually think that?
Yeah, no, I've heard it.
People who think that. If any of you listen to the coronavirus episode, and there was that whole section where I said, "I'm talking to you," you are those people.
Dude, you know what the fuck?
Okay, obviously Yogi listened to that episode, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you, Yogi.
Well, how to put it? When John invited me on, I was like, oh, I now have to binge every single episode. I need to kind of know what I'm getting myself into here.
I'm a little touched.
So yes.
You absolutely did not have to binge every episode, but thank you for binging every episode. We appreciate it, as well as everyone else who's been listening to us for these past few weeks. Actually, no.
Oh,
that,
no.
That seriously kind of touched me a little bit. Somebody binged our episodes. I feel like we're like Netflix, but not streaming in 480p.
Oh, huzzah! White trash Netflix. The dream has been achieved.
Oh my god, that should have been the name of this show. White trash Netflix. Damn it!
If we ever need to rebrand,
White trash Netflix. That's gonna be the new name.
Well, speaking of white trash Netflix, fucking Joe Exotic is on fucking Netflix now.
Oh my god, we watched the trailer for that. It's like, what is going on?
Oh my various gods. That was amazing.
Like, I feel like with these 2 weeks that I've got off because of everything going on, if I get really down and low and I really need to feel better about my life, I'm going to pop on that documentary because I feel like instantly the first 5 minutes I'm going to go, wow, you know what? I'm not as crazy as I fucking thought I was.
Chris, you
Well, no, I'm just so fascinated by that guy, dude. I'm like so, like, how to put it? It's like, it's not the same level of fascination that you have for like something like cult leaders or serial killers, but it's almost there.
Right.
It's this super bizarre fascination of, what is this man? What makes him tick? I need to find out.
No joke. I was showing Chris the trailer for it, and he was like, "This is not real." I was like, "No, it's 100% real.
Like, it looks like a mockumentary.
It's 100% real. That is a real guy who lives his life really that way. Big cats and big gay." Like,
no. Do you remember when he was running for president?
oh, I have not showed Chris those YouTubes.
Oh my god.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, no. This was during not the last election, the election before that. You know, the Obama's second term, the one where we still had hope.
Hope? What's that? I don't remember what that is. Can you remind me?
It's this funny feeling that flies away further and further the farther we go down this timeline.
Is it like that scene from South Park where he's chasing the dragon? Oh wait, that's about heroin. Okay, yeah, same thing.
Heroin, hope, same thing.
Yeah, really, really identical in some ways. But yeah, no, this guy like was running for president and he made like campaign commercials and it was the best thing ever. I was like, holy shit, I kind of want that dude as my president.
Right? You're crazy enough to run America. Like legitimately crazy enough to run America.
Exactly.
But anyways, that's not what we brought you on to talk about Joe Exotic, though that may be the next follow-up episode after watching this documentary, because god damn. We brought you on today because we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about some of your background. Now, I know that you have a YouTube channel, and I think you've recently dipped your toes into Twitch this the last couple of weeks, right?
Correct. So I've had a YouTube channel for a little over a year. It is called Western Guy with Vedic Eyes. Vedic being meaning of the Vedas being the scriptures upon which Hinduism is founded. Therefore, everything about Hinduism is considered Vedic because it comes from the Vedas. But also because I couldn't not make a queer eye for the straight guy pun. I had to. I had to follow suit with the name. It just worked. And the YouTube channel has been a place for me to originally was just like a place for me to just kind of like mess around with a couple things, but it turned into me making videos about Hinduism and Eastern philosophy and theological practices from the perspective of someone who came from a Western background but had converted to this particular spiritual path, or had adopted this spiritual path, so I found that I was in a unique position to explain it to a Western audience. And it has taken off a little bit. I have about 1,000 subscribers right now. Not at all big in the YouTube community, not even big on HinduTube, not even big on the section of YouTube that specifically is dedicated to Hinduism and related theologies and philosophical practices.
I'm sorry, I have to stop you there. I love that. HinduTube. I love that because I've come to realize over these past 2 weeks of quarantine and everything being locked down, there are subsections. There's TechTuberTube. There's HinduTube. I just learned. There's CarTube.
Mhm.
There's literally tube for everything.
Pressure washer tube?
There's
there's the
you don't know what pressure
tube,
washer
there's
tube?
Satan tube.
There's pressure washer tube.
Oh my god, you want to fall down a
Yes.
fucking rabbit hole, pressure washer tube. It's literally
You
people
and your
cleaning
YouTube rabbit holes.
Listen, when you smoke weed at 3 a.m, you look at weird shit.
First, it was all the Slavic hard bass this house could take.
No. The man that's on this fucking show right now is directly to blame for me turning into Slavic asshole.
Okay,
right?
we need to talk, Yogi. We need to have a serious conversation, young man. I need you to sit down and we need to have some eye contact here because we have a problem. We have a serious problem.
Oh, do we now?
There are times when I come home and I hear noises coming from upstairs, and all I hear is oots, 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 oots. And then I come up the stairs and it gets louder. It's oots, 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 oots. And I open John's door and he's just sitting there fucking yeah, and just the hard
Cheekity-breaky,
like,
yes?
who the fuck are you and what the fuck happened to you? He's like, but the hard bass.
I have only one response, one irrefutable defense of exposing him to such things.
That being?
Do you know what that is, sir?
Okay.
Hello, cheeky breeky donkey!
Isn't today beautiful?
It is not beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
beautiful. Like,
Oh my god.
no, now I've got Chris kind of into life with Boris too. Which, God, if we could get that,
I gotta
on the
admit, that
show.
guy's really fucking funny.
Yeah, like
Well, I mean, how to put it? The only reason I even got into that is because currently, how to put it? Я студенция русский. You know, like I'm studying a little bit, so.
shit, we got a spy.
Oh no! Quick, Vadim! They have found the split!
Is it really bad? I want to make a Rocky and Bullwinkle joke right now. Like, is that not the right time for this? I'm not sure.
What would you like to say about
Moose
great
and squirrel.
Moose and Squirrel, get out of country.
What would you like to say about great and glorious leader?
Send over Moose and Squirrel.
Da.
Oh god, the tangents are worse than on Jack's show.
Yes, they are.
Also, for like the 2% of our listener base that is in the Russian Federation, sorry.
That's Vidanya.
Oh god, but yeah, so yeah, the YouTube channel has taken off a little bit, not in a huge way, but it's steadily growing, and I'm happy to see that. And recently, especially with the quarantine going on, I've started doing simultaneous live streams on both my Twitch and YouTube platform, where the home the Gautam Mandir, the home temple that I've constructed in my house, I broadcast every day. I broadcast morning and evening services from there. People are more than welcome to come, to watch, to meditate along with me, other such things. Because, how to put it, man, like, you know, in this weird cyberpunk timeline we seem to be going down, it's the age of the digital Buddha and the virtual Swami. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just kind of made sense.
Dude, if you write a book, that's the title right there.
Well,
Holy
funny enough, he
shit.
has written a book. Like, he is you are a published author, so.
Yeah, I am a published author. Right now, none of my stuff is available for purchase because I have taken all of my works down from Amazon. Because how to put it, as someone who tends to be a compassionate human being, I have issues with Jeff Bezos, and I don't like him making money off of my publications. So for right now, they are not available, but they soon will be available through an alternative publishing house I have found.
Fucking commie.
Keep an eye out for that, everybody. And of course, there'll be links in the video description as well as the show notes to get in touch with all of Yogi's various things. So, okay, for the idiots that listen, and I am one of these idiots right now, give me the Cliff Notes version from your perspective of Hinduism in like 10 sentences or less. Cliff Notes version. Break it down.
Okay. Okay. So it's interesting because, first of all, like, Hindus don't really call it Hinduism. What we call it is Sanatana Dharma, which literally means the eternal. It's like the eternal truthful way, like the eternal path. The word Hindu itself is kind of an English connotation,
a westernization of it.
Yeah, it's something that that both Arabs and Britishers put onto people in who lived near the Sindhu and Indus Valley, and it turned into Hindu. And therefore, like, the country became, before it was India, Arab peoples around the subcontinent knew India as Hindustan.
Mm-hmm.
It's the land of the Hindus, and therefore the religion became Hinduism. But the basic idea, like the basic concept of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, is that life and existence are one. That everything here is part of one integral system, a universal, truthful reality that is slowly unfolding according to its own nature. And that includes human beings, and our most natural, honest, and truthful state is one that is in harmony with that nature. And all of the various rituals, practices, devotions, and traditions that you see throughout what can be considered Hinduism are methodologies to try to get back to that original harmonious state within ourselves. If I was going to give you like the most, if I was going to try to condense it, that's how I would have to say it.
So basically, it's the pursuit of oneness, complete into utter oneness.
Yes.
Okay.
Through the eyes of polytheism, for at least as a Westerner would see it, polytheism.
Well, see, that's the funny thing. Everything's polytheism.
Yeah, it's weird. It's okay. So within Hinduism, and this is the thing that gets it. The word religion doesn't really fit for Hinduism, and yet that's totally what it is. It's hard to describe. It's like, okay, the word religion, right, which is a word I'm really not a big fan of.
Yeah, you and me both.
Because, well, how to put it? Religion, it comes from religione, it's Latin in origin, and when you use that word, it kind of brings with it all the connotation and baggage of its origin. And it is Latin, it comes from religione, it has the same root as ligature and ligament and limitation, and what it literally means in its original context is to be bound together in one belief.
Yep. Which
doesn't really make sense to me.
Especially for Hinduism, because like there's so many different like the sects and different ways of worship and everything like that within Hinduism, just like any other religion.
Exactly. It's a very mixed bag. It's very varied. It's it's very varied. I don't know how else to but it's a weird notion to me. I find it a bit creepy because, like, how to put it, we're all different and unique physically, mentally, emotionally. Why would we be identical spiritually? That makes no sense. So like this is where you hear people say, oh, isn't it more of a philosophy than a religion? It's like, well,
yes and no.
It doesn't. Yeah, yes and no, because it doesn't fit into that Western model.
Right.
And that's the thing. People try to understand, a lot of people in Western countries try to understand these Eastern philosophies from a Western perspective, and you're kind of doomed to fail with that because it just does not fit.
Right. Like, what Grecian philosophy is definitely not what Eastern philosophy is. It's a completely different fucking wavelength, completely different mindset from the start. And this is the reason, like, honestly, we spent like 15 minutes there just listening to Yogi talk. This is the reason why I know so much about this shit. Yogi has a great way of explaining it to people, especially laymen and people like me and Chris, who either grew up Christian or grew up non. And it kind of makes sense. I'm like, no, actually, I kind of like Hindu. If I had to support one religion, I'm going to support Hinduism. Not just because Yogi's one of my good friends, but because it promotes the message of in order to attain perfection, in order to attain spiritual enlightenment, you have to come to the center of yourself and find yourself. You don't go to the gods to find that. You find it yourself. Am I right in that thinking, Yogi? Or
essentially, yeah. Because, like, how to put it? There's there's a really popular saying in India, and that's God, Guru, and Self are one and the same.
Okay.
Like, how to put it now? Like this is like, okay, so a big difference between Hinduism and Buddhism per se is that most modern sects of Hinduism are theistic, and they do say that there is either one or a selection of gods that are above all things. But and this is what I think is funny, like a lot of people like erroneously say that, oh, Hinduism, that's a lot like Buddhism, right? As John pointed out at one point. But it's weird because in certain ways, yes, because Buddhism comes from Hinduism. Like, from a Hindu perspective, Buddha is seen as a Hindu reformer.
Right.
So a lot of the essential philosophy is identical. The details around how it's explained and practiced are different and have become their own traditions over the past 2,000 years, but a lot of the core philosophy is very much the same. So there's very much this idea that whatever that ultimate reality is, be it God, consciousness, the universal force, however you describe it, your individual consciousness, your pure awareness, the thing that says I am, is part and parcel with that universal energy. It's not separate. Which I think is like very different from like the Abrahamic faiths, where you have this major like rift between God and human beings.
Yeah, no, as someone who actually practiced that, I know, Chris, you didn't go to church.
No, I didn't
ever.
do church. I didn't do synagogue. I knew enough about both to basically stay the fuck away.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I grew up Pentecostal, which we'll do an episode about that at some point, because y'all think you...
Oh, the snake handlers.
Well, see, that's the funny thing. Everyone thinks we handle snakes, and I'm like, only in the Ozarks.
Just talk to them.
Yeah, only in the Ozarks. Like, Ozarks, the Appalachian. That's I sat in the pocket where we didn't handle snakes. But with the Abrahamic faith, especially Christianity, and Islam, it's not so much bettering yourself; it's fealty to the supreme being. You can't. It's not that you can't talk to your God, it's that you don't deserve to talk to your God, and you have to fall on your face and beg for forgiveness for even having impure thoughts, which is kind of what started my break in it, because I was like 15, and I was having these thoughts of like, well, if I'm having these thoughts, then that means God put these thoughts here. So are they truly impure?
And then he met us in college, and we broke him the rest of the way.
Right. Yeah, basically. Because I was like that.
Yeah.
I was that hippy dippy Christian that was like, no, you can believe whatever you want to believe. It's not going to affect me.
Oh, you were a Jesus freak.
Yes, I was. I was a little bit of a Jesus freak, but I wasn't like Bible pounding, like, hey, do you want me to pray with you? Kind of Christian. Like, I think Chris can attest to that.
No, he most definitely wasn't. If anything, he was like a shut-in Christian. Was like, no, I get it. Y'all go do your thing. I'm gonna do mine. Until we convinced him to try out this alcohol thing one time, and he never looked back.
Well,
essentially, that's what it boils down to.
The spirit of the spirits gotcha. The spirit of the spirits gotcha.
Basically, the way the story goes is John used to go home every weekend so he could go to church with his family and whatnot, and do all the religiosity type things over the weekend. And one weekend he decided not to go home and decided to come out and hang out with us, and that's pretty much the way it's been ever since. So you're welcome, and we're sorry.
Don't be fucking sorry. No, do not ever be fucking sorry for that, because to be honest with you, 100%, that probably like it changed my life for the better. I wasn't very happy being a Christian. Like, if you think my depression is bad now,
I can only imagine.
Back then, it was like, I'm unhappy as fuck, and I shouldn't be, because I have the love of Jesus in my life. And it's like, oh, like, it broke me. I felt like I was a horrible fucking Christian. And again, we'll get into that episode some other fucking time. We're here to talk about yogi shit.
So
you know, it's funny though, like bringing up like Pentecostals, and even though you didn't belong to the like super like mountainy fundamentalist Pentecostals who do the weird shit, I actually did go to one of those meetings once, and I handled a snake.
Okay, I know the story. Yogi, tell them the important bit that happened before you went to the tent revival.
Oh, I took acid.
Oh, you smart, glorious man.
Okay, so to preface this, I don't know if anybody who's going to listen to this will know at all what I'm talking about, but my guru, my spiritual master in my tradition is Neem Karoli Baba, also known as Maharaji. This was this was the guy who became the guru of Ram Dass. Ram Dass is the author of Be Here Now. He's the guy who, if you know anything about drug culture and history in the United States, he was formerly known as Richard Alpert. He's the Harvard professor who got kicked out of Harvard with Timothy Leary over the acid experiments.
Okay, I'm following.
So, in the particular tradition and lineage that I belong to, the allowance of experimentation with psychoactive materials as kind of spiritual training wheels, not as complete methodologies, because they're not. Like, how to put it, something that my guru often said was, you know, if you take the acid, yeah, sure, that's he was like a little old Indian man, so he called them yogi medicines. You know, he said, you know, if you take the yogi medicine, you can sit in the room with Christ for 2 hours, but then you have to leave because you didn't come in the right way.
Right.
Okay.
You know, so it's good for giving a taste, but it's not the complete thing.
Yeah. Would you say it unlocks the door for you, but you have to learn how to go through that door yourself?
I would say so. There's actually he only passed away a couple years ago, but there's another great yogi and guru who was named Baba Haridas, and Baba Haridas was he had a large following of both Indian and Western disciples, and the thing about him was he was one of those guys who he was very much in the mode of being the good Brahmin mendicant. Like, he was very much into the, no, I have a pure diet and I never hurt anything, and so he, I obey all the rituals, so he was a very austere man, right? So even this man, when asked his opinion on LSD, he referred to it as, he said, well, America is the most materialist country, so they needed a material to get a taste for God. And God has come to them in an avatar in the form of this LSD.
Chris's mind is so fucking beautiful, blown man. Right now. It's beautiful.
It's fucking beautiful, man. I fucking love that.
Well, Yogi actually had a really good Twitter thread today talking about ganja, marijuana, for those of you that don't know it by that name.
Which is a Sanskrit name.
It is a Sanskrit name.
I did know that. I did know that. See, Anarchy Arena Podcast fans, you didn't think you were going to get an edumacation listening to the show, but God damn it, we're here to educate you today.
Sit down, take notes. This will be on the test.
There will be a test next week. There won't be a test.
And the way, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I can't remember it word for word, but basically, like, and when a materialist smokes marijuana, they're going for the high. But when a transcendentalist smokes marijuana, they're kind of going for the experience. Which I was like, no, that's perfect. That's exactly the reason why I smoke weed. It's not because I'm looking for the high. The high is great. It's the calmness that comes with it, that way I can clear my mind and actually think out things. Like, I'm the world's worst atheist because I do believe in, like, letting your mind kind of just go places. And maybe
what you do? You don't adhere to Richard Dawkins' hardcore rationalism? How dare you?
No, because Richard Dawkins is an ass, and I'll say that on the podcast. Fuck Richard Dawkins. I've never liked him. He was never one of my favorite atheists. Like, fuck that guy.
You know how to put it. Like, that dude, brilliant brilliant evolutionary biologist, really is. Not a great person.
No,
not a great ambassador for atheism in any way, shape, or form. And if some of you haven't figured it out now, even though I do have Jewish heritage in me, I am an atheist to the point of I personally feel that there science is the higher power. Science,
and that's fine. Like, science. See, religion usually asks the question, but doesn't really expect a response. Science usually asks the question, expects a response,
and then searches for the answer.
Yeah, and then searches for the answer.
And you see this. Okay, that's another difference I feel between, like, the Eastern and Western approach, is because within like the Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, Sikh, and like within, like, the whole, like, Dharma tradition families, there's this notion of what can be referred to as, and please don't associate me with the YouTuber who has taken this as his handle, he's an ass, but spiritual science. It's this, please don't associate us with that guy. I don't know where he gets off calling his channel that, but yeah, it's the idea that, like, how to put it, okay, a wonderful example of this. In Hinduism, the word that we use for faith is shraddha. Now, it's often translated into English as just faith, but that's not a completely accurate definition. Shraddha means faith through assurance. Meaning, like, why do we believe in this? Because we've literally experimented with it on a personal level and gotten results from it. If we do it and don't get results from it, we owe nothing to it and we can just leave it.
Right.
Like, that's built into our religious system. It's like one of those things like, you go to a guru, you go to a saint or whatever, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm trying to meditate on this, and this, and achieve this. Okay, here, take this mantra, repeat it this many times, like focusing this way. Well, why? Just do it, see it, it'll work. You go, you do it, and if it works, you go back to him and go, oh, okay, it worked, give me another one. That's kind of how the Eastern systems work. It's not blind faith. We might not have the most accurate material scientific explanation for why shit does what it does, but it does things.
Right.
And that's why we use it.
Well, it's like, me and Chris being non-believers, when it comes down to the argument of is there a God, isn't there a God, what always is the stopping block for both points is experience. We cannot explain experience away in science, and we cannot take away your experience at all.
Absolutely not.
We can't.
We don't know your experience because we are not you.
Exactly.
And just as I would say to someone who would say that to me is, you don't know my experience, you are not me.
Right.
It's very subjective and very individual, which honestly is the way it ought to be.
Right. And that's the weird thing about the major religions, the Abrahamic faith, is that you can't have that argument because it breaks the religion, especially Christianity. You can't say that you've never experienced God. Why? Because there's no possible way in Christianity you've never experienced God.
Yeah, you ever see the wind?
Yeah, which I hate that fucking statement because it's like, first off, your God's not a wind god, he's a volcano god. So let's get that shit straight.
He makes fire from the earth and thunder from the sky.
Right.
I mean,
he originally was a volcano god. He got a really good PR person, and now he's the god of everything.
Image, and now he's omniscient.
He changed his image the first time to xenophobic asshole, and then they're like the people are like, well, that doesn't really play.
That didn't play well. We tested it out in small markets, and it really didn't work for you. So we're going to retool your image a little bit. We're going to take a year off, and by year we mean a millennia, and we're going to come back and we're going to push this out again.
Yahweh, let me talk to you a second. Here, Gabriel, bring in the floor plans that we got. Come on, let me show you. Now, according to the chart,
your worshippers, they're going down. I thought they were doing good. Listen, you put all your eggs in the basket of the Israelites, and even they're starting to ask questions. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make you a benevolent God, but I'm not benevolent. That's not the point. Listen, and then you're gonna get a son. Well, how the fuck am I gonna get a son? Oh my God, you're gonna get a girl pregnant. How the fuck am I gonna get a girl pregnant? I'm a spiritual being. We'll work it out in post. All right, baby, just listen.
Whoever's listening to this segment, I want it as an animatic. Somebody make an animatic of that segment, please and thank you. We will tack it on to the end of the YouTube version of this when it is completed. Just at the Metal Barrett or at Anarchy Arena Podcast. Thank you very much.
And then God's PR guy's like, I think God's PR guy's like, all right, you kid, he's gonna preach a message. Well, what's the message? His message is basically love everybody. That's not been my fucking message since ever. We know.
No, it hasn't. But you know what it does? It sells. It gets merchandise prices up. It gets asses in the seats.
Oh, do you know what I'm seeing in my head right now? I'm seeing yogurt in my head. Merchandising.
But it's funny to me because you also came out of that Christian lifestyle too, didn't you, Yogi? Like, you grew up Catholic.
I did. I grew up Roman Catholic.
Which is second in
oddly,
guilt in religions.
Yes. Roman Catholics learned their guilt from Jews.
You know what? We did. You know, there was this great thing I once heard, which is Jews are co-Catholics, Catholics are co-Jews, and where they meet in the middle is called Italian.
Damn.
Yeah, no, perfect. Like,
oh, that's good. I like that.
Tell me that isn't rich.
Oh, man. That hits really hard.
So I'm assuming, like, you growing up with Roman Catholics, something happened that flipped a switch for you. What was that thing that made you go, like, you know, fuck the major religion, I want to go, well, fuck the Abrahamic religion, I want to go completely different way.
So, okay, so here's what's so funny about this, was that, so I was one of those kids who, at a very young age, I had an overt predilection for wanting to know things, and not just like that material level of take things apart, figure out how they work, that, like, you know, a lot of kids get, but I was, like, super interested in things like metaphysics and philosophy and theology, and I had all these questions about God and spirituality and morals and things like that. My mother, God bless her heart, like, she always, like, told me, like, even as a kid, like, I swear you're an old soul in a young body, kind of thing. Like, you know, like, I just had, like, interests in things like that to a level that a lot of kids my age didn't.
Right.
And so because of that, I could not be placated by little, you know, namby-pamby answers given to me by my parish priest.
Because that's how you got when you were a kid. I can attest for that as being a Protestant Christian, is you would just get bullshit answers and that would never answer your real questions. Like, why, you know, if we claim that we're Christian and Jesus is the son of the God of the old Bible, then aren't we really Jewish? Well, no, was the answer I would get, which never satisfied anything.
Yeah, there was never, like, an in-depth explanation. There wasn't anything that actually satisfied your curiosity. They would either give you a hard yes or a hard no without any explanation, or they wouldn't give you any answer, and they give you this roundabout thing to try to get you to go play with the other kids and stop paying attention.
Yeah, my personal favorite, well, why don't you just pray to Jesus about it? Yeah.
Because he's not answering.
Yeah, exactly. It was my answer.
He hasn't picked up the phone in, like, 3 weeks. I don't know if he deleted my number. I miss it, man.
I don't want to come across as too needy, but God, I miss him. But yeah, no, I was like, I remember, like, I was about, like, 9 or 10 years old when I had enough of this, and so I went up to my mom and I started asking her questions, because how to put it, I was lucky enough to have super progressive, kind of hippie rock and roll parents growing up. So they told me everything I ever wanted to know when I honestly asked. And they were great about that. And I love them so much for raising me and my younger sibling in this way. So I went up to her and I started asking her questions, and she looked at me and she went, did you ask Father Paul this? And I went, well, yeah, what'd he say? And I told her what he said, and she was like, well, you know, other people believe different things. Go find out what other people believe. Go do research.
Right.
And that's what I did.
and that's the end of Christianity for anybody.
You know, yeah, no, it was very interesting. Like, I started doing in-depth Bible studies with various different types of, different editions of the Bible. I have read the Christian Bible in various editions and languages. I've read the Torah, the Tanakh. I've read a good portion of the Talmud, the Zohar. I've read the Quran. I've read the Guru Granth Sahib. I've read a bunch of Buddhist sutras, and I was actually really happy with Buddhism for quite a while. And then I came across a copy of the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, which is one of the primal and most important texts in the Hindu canon. And I read that and I went, no, done. This is it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I had like a little bit of a similar path, but I went a different way. I had questions about my religion, and I did my research, and I started finding out like, oh shit, like we share a lot of gods and characters, especially the Abrahamic faiths. That it's almost to the point where it's like, why do we even have different religions? And then I started studying other religions. Now, granted, I didn't make the full leap into another religion. I just said basically like, for a while, and I think I'm kind of coming back to this thought, which is like, if God exists, then God is the universe in total, and either he doesn't care enough about you to fuck with you, or he cares enough about you to leave you the fuck alone. And that to me is, if you're gonna have any version of God or spiritualism, to me that is the most pure way to look at it.
Yeah, I never even got that chance with religion. Realistically, I had any idea of faith doused for me very, very early. My family went through something that I don't know if this is the right term for it or not, but lovingly, not really, call the year of hell, where we did 13 funerals in 12 months in one family.
Oish, that's a lot. That's a lot of sitting shiva.
Yeah, well, not most of those weren't on the Jewish side. Otherwise, it would have been a lot of sitting shiva.
Oh god, you know what my favorite joke about sitting shiva that I've ever heard
this should be good.
Is okay, question, you know who Harvey Fierstein is?
Yes.
I'm assuming you know
yes.
who Harvey is. Okay. Okay, have you ever seen the film that was based off of his first Broadway play that he wrote, Torch Song Trilogy?
I have not.
It's a great film, go check it out. It's amazing. But you know, his character Arnold, who is based mainly off of Harvey Fierstein's actual life, is Jewish, and at one point he invites his boyfriend to go with him when his father passes away, and they're sitting shiva, and his boyfriend looks at him and goes, "Why are all the mirrors covered? So we don't see the pain in our faces." "Oh, why are we all sitting on boxes? So there is pain in our faces."
That's pretty much the long and the short of it.
Because Judaism, we want to feel pain, but we don't want to look at ourselves in the middle of it. Like...
Pretty much, yeah, because that would just add to more guilt. And if there's one thing we're good at, it's guilt.
So that's kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever heard you kind of talk about how
I never really had it, because that year of hell started with my step grandfather. I looked at him as my grandfather. But it started with my step grandfather, and it ended with my grandmother a year later on New Year's Day. Matter of fact, I was a room and a half away when she passed away, and I come out New Year's Day to my mother's hands covered in my grandmother's blood from trying to do CPR on her. She had a heart attack. So yeah, 13 funerals in 12 months kind of makes you realize who the fuck in their right mind puts an entire family, let alone the children of the family, through that. Also, kids get AIDS. And I'm sorry, no God in the right mind lets kids get AIDS. I'm just throwing it out there. Sorry for anybody listening who doesn't agree with me. That's my standpoint.
Well, Yogi, your retort?
My retort is okay. Thank you very much for opening up to share that with both your listeners as well as me. I appreciate the openness of that exchange, and I honor it, and I thank you for doing so. I really do. I'm actually right now going through a bit of a thing. John knows this. Currently, my paternal grandfather is lying in a hospital bed, unconscious. We don't know if his body is going to pull through what he's going through right now. On top of that, we recently found out that he changed his medical papers to DNR.
Sorry.
So no, you know what? I thank you. Honestly, thank you.
Yeah, that's tough.
But
I've had to go through that a couple of times. It's rough.
But it's weird when I talk about things like that, because and I kind of wanted to bring this up at the beginning. I'm actually okay with it. Like I've come to a place in my personal in my personal spiritual and philosophical practice where I'm actually content and at peace with that side of existence.
Right.
Not that it's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't love my grandfather. I honestly do. He's a great person. And there is going to be a bit of me that misses the readiness and the availability of like the connection of just having him there physically.
Right.
If he does pass away, but I'm honestly not going to grieve too much when and if he does, because again, I'm just at this place where because of what I have forcefully put myself through mentally and emotionally, I am prepared for this in such a way that I can accept it with equanimity.
Right.
And I realize not a lot of people are at that place, and I'm not saying that people have to be.
Right.
It's just where I am, and I think it's a good thing that I am there, because I know that a lot of people in my family are not there, and I'm going to need to be a support to a lot of people, and I count myself blessed and lucky to be able to be there for them
right.
in that way. But so on a larger scale of that, my retort to things like that is that from a dharmic standpoint, this is not how to put it. You don't get one run and you're done.
Right.
Like we believe in reincarnation, and we also believe that so part of our belief is that for physical reality, for material existence to even be a thing, it needs to have duality and constant motion between the extremes therein. Because if you don't have that, you get inertia, and what happens to physical matter when inertia sets in?
It pushes, or it gets out of the way, or something of that nature.
Exactly. Like how to put it, if everything suddenly, if all movement suddenly stopped, like life could not really continue.
Right.
So, from a dharmic standpoint, it's the idea that like all of existence, the entire multiverse, because fun fact, Hindus have multiverse theory.
Mm-hmm.
That one I knew. Marvel, you owe them lots of money.
Yes, they do. So does Dragon Ball Z.
They really do. I will take that massive check on behalf of the entire community. Thank you very much.
It will go to fine things. Like,
thank you, Toriyama. I will accept this money. But yeah. So it's the idea that like all of existence, it just kind of unfolds according to its own nature.
Right.
So whether or not you believe that there's a God in control of that, you're in the same boat.
Right.
Because things like, how to put it, things like cancer, AIDS, orgasms, and hamburgers, they're all part of the same reality blanket, and in some weird cosmic way, without each other, they can't exist. Like, you know what I mean? It's this idea that for everything to exist in the way that it does, it requires every other condition to also exist in the way that it does. It's this concept of interdependent existence. There is no such thing as that which exists purely by itself, phenomenally or conditionally. It only exists because of literally every other thing simultaneously going on throughout infinity.
Okay. You weren't ready for that one, were you, fucker?
No, that's a very good opposing argument to it, and an opposing argument I can absolutely respect. Very eloquently said, I might add. You, sir, you can talk.
He got a purty mouth.
John gets Kentucky showing.
Oh, sorry.
I make the big purty words with my mouth organ.
Yeah, he talks like a $6 whore. I tell you what.
But yeah, and it's also, how to put it. It's also the idea that and there's actually like I won't go like really really far into it because we could go really deep into this and it could take a really long time. and I know that there are other questions that you might have and other areas that you want to talk about. But if you're interested, there is a video that I made called "Can You Keep Your Heart Open in Hell?" and it's about the Hindu and Dharmic response to the concept of suffering in and of itself.
It's really good. It's a really good video. I watched it.
Oh
yeah.
I'm glad you liked it. Actually,
that and the guided meditation one. I occasionally listen to your guided meditation to fall asleep. No offense. I hope that's unoffensive, but it does really help.
No, it is unoffensive if it helps you. Look, okay, as someone who actually teaches meditation and is certified to teach meditation and does so out of my home occasionally, I will tell you what every single good meditation teacher will tell you, which is, if while practicing meditation you fall asleep, it's because you need to damn sleep.
John, you need to damn sleep.
Nah, fuck that noise. If I fall asleep, I miss things. Granted, lately, the things I've not been missing, I really wish I could miss.
Right.
But, like,
I know, right?
But
too much time.
Yeah, too much.
So on a slightly lighter topic, on your notion of all things being interconnected, be it cancer or cheeseburgers or whatnot, something else that falls into that fold is something that I didn't even know that we had a bond over, but apparently we do. For those of you who don't know, this is I know, really weird segue, but for those of you who don't know, this is the first time Yogi and I have actually spoken, but we actually have a bond that goes back at least a couple months now, because Yogi took a journey that many of you who have listened to the first few episodes of the show know that I took not long ago, and that is something that comes out of the ground that I'm sure everyone eats, and that is known as the potato. That's right. Yogi took the potato plunge just as I did way back when. Well, I say way back when, it was like 8 fucking months ago, but still. So I know my experience with doing the potato purge plunge diet. So I'm curious, and I'm sure other people will be too, just for a second opinion. What has been your experience? Are you finished with it? Are you still in the midst of it? How are you feeling about it? Are you sick and tired of potatoes? Do you never want to look at potato again? Or are you still like, man, potatoes are the fucking greatest?
Well, you know, it's odd. I am okay. So I'm officially done with my 2 weeks. I've been done for a couple days. I started off okay. So I am 6'5". You know, I'm a tall man. I started out at 247 pounds, and someone of my height should be between 187 and 229. Like, that's like a healthy spectrum.
Right.
So I started off at 247. After the 2 weeks, I was 221.
Yep.
Kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I lost over 25 pounds. I lost about 25 pounds. And it's weird because like over the past couple days, I you weigh yourself every day with things like this because you're easing back, because you're easing back into like eating regular foods again. And I keep yo-yoing between like 121 and 125 on a constant basis, and I'm like, you know what? That's fine. That's still much better than 240 goddamn 7. That's fine.
Yeah.
My experience with it has been positive. I didn't really get sick of potatoes. In fact, actually, I had potatoes as part of a meal the other day. I'm not sick of them. I think I owe that to the fact that I kept a pretty fair mix of potatoes, going back and forth between red potatoes, white potatoes, butter potatoes, like Yukon Golds, just like trying to keep things like a little variation in there. But oh my God, like about a week or so in, when I had that sweet potato,
it makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
It was candy,
yep.
And I loved it. I had 2 pieces of actual candy the other day, and I got a sugar headache, and I needed to lie down for 2 hours. I was like, nope, I can't do this no more.
Yeah, because you don't realize just how much of everything you eat has sugar in it, and then you go on a complete, sugar restriction for 2 weeks, and you try, and you're like, oh my God, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, no, it was terrible, man. Like it's simultaneously terrible and great because how to put it, because like the Hinduism and everything, I was already like a vegan and a vegetarian to begin with. Like that's already been a thing. It's just that over the past like 2.5 years, because of like both family and financial drama and things like that, I ended up eating a lot of carbs and a lot of starch.
Yep. Stress eating, I'm very familiar with it.
Yep. And it's good to have me back if you understand what I mean by that. It's like it's good. Yeah.
I was about to say I 100% get that because like I didn't do the potato diet for 2 weeks. I couldn't. Like my body was rejecting the shit out of it. But I learned something from it, which is portion control. And
yes,
and how good water actually tastes. I always thought water tasted bland. No, fuck that.
How
noise.
good lots of things taste.
Right.
And I don't know about the two of you, but as far as the portion control goes, I didn't feel like I learned it. I felt like it just kind of dawned on me like, oh, it wasn't a learned thing. It was more of a, the fuck? Why was I eating this much?
What did I tell you, like, before you started the diet? I was looking at your portions. I was like, dude, why are you trying to become me? And, like...
I didn't realize it until I went on the potato diet and was like, oh, fuck. I was eating ridiculous amounts.
I think I know exactly why your portions were like that. Because I'm pretty sure it's because why my portions were like that. Which is because we come from old world culture people.
Yes. Right. Yeah, Yogi being Romanian and Chris being Jewish and half West Virginia.
Yeah.
Shavasa Roma Preza, what's up, all my peoples? But yeah, no,
See, my inner whiteness right now is really nervous.
Something else Yogi and I can bond over. Both of our pupils were persecuted equally. Let's just make everybody listening super uncomfortable for 5 seconds.
I know. Hey, remember that time when Germany took both of our peoples and like put them in death camps? I remember that. Oh, hey, do you remember when that happened multiple times throughout multiple countries in medieval Europe?
I remember. Do you remember? Yep. I remember.
I mean, Adolf Hitler's favorite president was Andrew Jackson, my home state president, by the way. Yay! Because he was really effective. Yeah, look it up. Literally, he wrote that in Mein Kampf. He says, "I wish I could get away with what Andrew Jackson did by putting all the Jews into one place and nobody bitching about it." I'm not even joking.
Oh no, I know you're not. That's the
exactly.
thing.
I'm one of those weird kids that read Mein Kampf and didn't go, wow, this is a really good idea. Like, I read it, went, holy shit, this is the ravings of a madman.
Yeah, no, how to put it, it was in my high school library, and I saw it, and I'm like, well, now that I've seen it, I know it's there. I'm going to be thinking about it if I don't read it.
And then by 5th period.
And then I read and then I read it, and I was like, like, first day, I brought it back to the library, and she was like, are you done with that already? I'm like, yes, I am. Where is the nearest restroom? I need to projectile vomit my hatred out.
Oh, God.
We need to set this on fire immediately.
Like, I don't believe in burning books, but if we're going to burn any, can we start with this one, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That'd be the one thing where I'd be like, you know what? Not even for historical value, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm tired of the historical value argument. Like, even in America, we get that shit. I'm like, maybe we shouldn't look back on our history fondly. Like,
maybe we should look back and remember all the shit we've done and how shitty it was and not do that dumb shit again.
Yeah, instead of memorializing it. Anyways, we're about to go on a fucking socialism rant here, so let's bring it back in.
Another episode.
Oh my.
Because Yogi's an anarcho-socialist, so like
yeah. See, we have no problem.
And here's the thing: if you wonder, well, how can you like be into like a religion like Hinduism and be anarcho-socialist? Well, consider this: Gandhi was one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
big time.
People tend to forget that.
Yeah, I don't know why people forget that Gandhi was an anarcho-socialist. Like that was the main difference between him and between Gandhi and Nehru. Yep. Gandhi and Nehru loved each other. They were friends. They were brothers. Like they helped create the National Congress Party and helped to like forge India's independence. At the same time, Nehru was very much a state socialist. He was very much a, no, I believe in democratic socialism, and I believe in it through the auspices of an established state. And Gandhi was like, no, man, anarchy, free association.
Yeah. And you know the reason why that is because everyone thinks of anarchy as destructive, and that's not the fucking case. Again, we can go on a fucking tangent on that. Real quick, because we're kind of getting the last 5 minutes of the episode. Yogi, I was wondering if, like, I had this weird thought while we were recording this. Is there any way to do like 5-minute meditation, or at least get started on something?
Oh, yes. I would love
to end the episode on that. That would be really cool.
You know, the weird thing was before we recorded, I actually had the thought. The thought permeated into my brain meat. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we did something like that over the podcast?
I would love to do that. Would you be down with that, Chris?
Let's go ahead and do that. Yogi, we're going to end this episode, and you're going to give us your 5-minute meditation.
Okay. All right, so wherever you're sitting, you don't have to do the whole cross-legged on the floor thing. It doesn't matter. You can be in a chair, you can be on your bed, whatever. Just, if you could, like, sit up a bit straight, you know, just so you're not, like, hyper slouching, just so you don't fall asleep. Just kind of shake out your shoulders and your neck a little bit. Get a little loosey. Now, just sit quietly, eyes closed. And breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. Just sit here, just for a minute, and watch your breath. Just watch your breath going in through your nose, down into your lungs, and back out. Just watch the breath. Don't think of anything. Thoughts come up. Thoughts are like bubbles rising from the bed of a river up to the surface. That's all they are. Just sit here and watch your breath. If a thought comes, and you get distracted by it, don't scold yourself. Just acknowledge the thought and let it float away. Just another bubble. Bring your attention back to your breath.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed that little bit of meditation. Actually kind of reminded me of the hypnotherapy I did to try and quit smoking.
Well,
it's super relaxing. And you said you have the YouTube channel. I'm assuming there's more of that type of thing on your channel.
There is. There are a few guided meditations for a couple different things. And there are also videos going into what exactly is meditation, what's the nature of it, and why you should use it.
Yeah.
And again, the YouTube channel is Western Guy with Vedic, VEDIC, eyes. Western Guy with Vedic eyes.
And make sure you check down in the show notes and the video description for that link. We will have that available. Yogi, this has been super, super interesting. We will definitely have to have you back to discuss all manner of other things. This was a really good idea. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and I would be more than happy to come back. I like being here. This is it's a good space. It's a chill space. I like talking to you.
Well,
guys.
thank you. Nice. I mean, we've practiced this before a couple of times, Yogi, but I appreciate the fact that you like Chris, because I've always tell people Chris is a really good dude, and once you get to know him, like he's way more chill than what you may think he.
I have chill on occasion. I just don't show it to everybody.
Yeah, you also get fucking paranoid and freaked out about shit.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, don't we all, especially in these times? Like, who can fault him for such?
I've said to you, Yogi, and when we were messaging each other, if you are freaking out, the world is fucked.
Amen to that.
I still haven't, but I'll keep you posted.
All right. Well, thank you again, Yogi. I really do appreciate you coming on to the show. We will bring you back on, definitely soon-ish. I've been John the Joker.
I have been Chris the Metal Berry, and our guest today has been Yogi. And Yogi, you got anything coming down the pipeline you want them to know about?
Only thing that I have like planned is just the rest of the week, just morning and evening prayer services filmed from my home temple, and maybe a couple times this week on Twitch we'll be doing a virtual satsang. Satsang being the idea of coming together to ask questions and discuss things of a philosophical and spiritual nature. So if you would like to continue, if you like what you've heard here and you would like to talk to me about various different things, like various different questions within Hinduism and its practice, keep an eye on my Twitch channel. My username is Yogi Devadas, all one word.
And we will have that link as well. So with that, we're going to conclude episode 19 of the Anarchy Arena Podcast, and we will see, holy crap, episode 19. You know what that means? Right? Next week is episode 20, the big 2-0, everybody. We will see you back here next week for episode 20.
And that wraps it up for episode 19 of the Anarchy Arena Podcast. We would once again like to thank Yogi Devadas for coming on the show. I am very grateful that he was here. This was an extremely interesting conversation, and we found out that Yogi and I had something that we could bond over that we didn't know about before we started talking tonight. We definitely hope to have him back on again and talk about all manner of other things, but this is definitely one that's going to go down in my head as one of the cooler conversations we've had. So, with that being said, next week, the big 2-0, episode 20. What are we going to do? You're going to have to wait and find out next time on the Anarchy Arena Podcast.